Listeners ready to level up their PE game. Today we're tackling cricket. It can seem a bit daunting at first, right? You've got all this gear and rules
Oh,
and...
absolutely. I think we've all felt that intimidation factor, like trying to teach the next national team or something.
Exactly. But thankfully, this article from the PE Hub breaks it down. And it puts things in a much more, shall we say, manageable light,
And the best part is, it's written by PE teachers for PE teachers.
which means they get it. They understand those real-life classroom challenges.
Yeah.
Like, for starters, I'll admit, I always pictured teaching cricket and thought, well, there goes my entire equipment budget.
Right. You imagine those pristine fields, the expensive uniforms, the whole 9 yards.
Totally. But one thing this article really emphasized is that primary school cricket isn't about creating professional athletes.
It's all about those foundational skills. Getting kids moving, teaching them hand-eye coordination.
And of course, making sure they actually enjoy the game.
Exactly. And speaking of equipment, they had some great tips on keeping things affordable. Have you heard of quick cricket sets?
Refresh my memory.
So basically, they're these modified cricket sets that are super safe and durable, but much cheaper than traditional equipment.
Oh, that's a game changer. I was picturing having to take out a loan for some of this stuff. But okay, let's say we've got the equipment sorted. What about space? I teach in a school where our playground feels like the size of a postage stamp.
Yeah, that's a common concern. But the article had some really clever solutions for that. They emphasize that you don't need a massive field to teach cricket. Playgrounds, gyms, even smaller areas can work.
Okay, color me intrigued. How do they pull that off? Give me an example.
So imagine this. It's batting practice. But instead of a traditional lineup, the kids are in a circle taking turns. This way, they're hitting the ball outwards, maximizing space, and ensuring everyone gets a go.
Oh, that's smart. Keeps things moving too. No one's stuck waiting around getting bored.
Exactly. More action, more fun. Now, as for the actual skills, I know it can seem pretty technical.
Oh yeah, all the rules and the jargon. I feel like I need a whole dictionary just to understand what's going on.
Right. But the article did a great job of simplifying things. It said to focus on those core skills first. Throwing, catching, striking.
Back to basics. Love it. It's like learning an instrument, You wouldn't start with like super complex jazz riffs. You got to get those scales down first.
Exactly. Build those solid foundations, and then the fun really begins. You can get creative, experiment a bit.
And that's what it's all about at that age, right? Exploration,
Yeah.
letting loose, and having a blast while they're at it.
Couldn't agree more. Speaking of which, the article had a great point about small-sided games. Have you heard of those?
Small-sided games. Rings a bell, but not quite. Break it down for me.
So traditional cricket, 11 players on each team, it can get a bit much for younger kids.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a long game.
Right. So with small-sided games, you divide the class into smaller teams, keeps things fast-paced, everyone gets involved, no one feels left out.
Makes total sense, especially with those, shall we say, selective attention spans.
Precisely. Now, what I found really interesting is they shared a story about a PE teacher, Mim, I think her name was.
Okay, yeah, Mim Telfer.
Yeah, that's her. She's been teaching A&D coaching cricket for like over 10 years.
A decade of cricket. Wow, that's dedication. What's her secret?
Well, they said her real strength is finding that balance between teaching proper technique, but also letting the kids have FUM.
Oh, 100%. It's got to be about more than just memorizing rules, especially that age, right?
Absolutely. Positive experiences are key. If they enjoy it, they'll stick with it.
Now, I'm curious, what's resonating with you from all of this? What's got you excited about teaching cricket in primary school?
Honestly, it's that shift in perspective. We often see cricket as this, well, almost elitist sport.
Oh, totally, with the fancy uniforms and the whole...
Exactly.
Well,
But
then-
what this article highlights is how accessible cricket can be. It's a game for everyone, regardless of your background or skill level.
I love that, breaking down those barriers.
Exactly.
So we've covered equipment, space constraints, even touched upon the importance of keeping things fun and engaging.
Oh, and let's not forget Mim's inspiring story. She's proof that teaching cricket can be incredibly rewarding. But now the question is, as you get ready to introduce cricket to your students, what's your big takeaway? What will you carry with you from our deep dive today?
For me, it's all about keeping it fun.
Hmm.
It's so easy to get bogged down with the how-tos, trying to make it perfect.
Right. Like we're training them for Wimbledon or something.
Exactly. But they're kids. Just let them enjoy themselves. Experience the joy of movement. What about you? What's your main takeaway?
Oh, I'm with you on that. I always say you can teach all the techniques in the world, but what matters is how you make them feel while they're learning.
100%. So for our listeners out there who are feeling inspired, maybe they're dusting off those Keepick cricket sets.
Or even improvising their own. You don't always need fancy equipment.
True, true. Yeah. What's one last piece of advice? Like, as they're planning their lessons, what should they keep in mind?
Find that balance. You know the one. Technique and enjoyment. If you can do that, you're golden.
I love it. Technique and enjoyment. Now, go out there and make some cricket memories.